Hey there friends, Dave Paulides, CanAm Missing Project, copyrighted edition for our video channel. And this is Huck. And we just got done playing, didn't we? Yeah, we were outside running around being a good doggy. It's hot. It's about 90 degrees out there. Since she got her coat cut, she's a lot more comfortable out there. A lot more. Was that fun? Was that fun? Oh yeah, oh yeah. Oh, you're a good girl. You're a good girl. And she is the executive producer of the show. She can command whatever she wants. She's kind of the boss, and she knows it. Yeah, you know it, huh? Yeah, she's a good girl. All right. Well, this is a missing persons segment, and we are going to talk about missing people. But I got a story for you. Affected me a lot last night. And you guys know I love dogs. I love all animals. I'll be truthful with you. Well, one of the things we do in our family is we get together at Christmas time. Come from different parts of the country, huddle up in an Airbnb somewhere, and people bring their dogs, and it's a dog and family fest for 3 or 4 days. It's a lot of fun. And I got to protect this person a little bit. A very close member of our family, very close, adopted a dog about 4 years ago, 5 years ago. And the dog belonged to a family for 5-6 years. The family was having a baby, and they were going to get rid of the dog. The dog never offered any threat to anyone, never showed any inclinations of being a danger to anyone, but they gave it to a rescue, and they were going to get rid of it. And this member of our family was looking for a dog and found this dog. And I got to tell you, I've met a lot of dogs in my day, and nothing, except Huck, of course, comes even close to Hope. This was Hope. A great dog. Great. Now here's the story. So, 2 Christmases ago, one of our family members brought their dog. This other family member brought Hope. And I'm sitting on the floor, and this other dog comes up and starts, I've never had this happen, starts snarling at me, and it's a smaller dog, and like it's gonna bite me, and kind of lunges at me, and I'm just watching. And Hope is a bigger dog, like maybe a little bit smaller in frame than Huck. And Hope is on the other side of the room. And she comes over and she stands between this other dog and me and just looks at the other dog. And then laid down next to me as I was sitting on the floor. Nobody could believe it. Everyone in the room just stared. It's like Hope said, "You stay away from him." It wasn't long after that Hope was diagnosed with a terminal cancer. And there was really nothing they could do. And they said, just keep her comfortable. Well, she made it all the way till this last Christmas. Everyone was shocked. But she was this kind of dog that always was upbeat. You could tell she was in pain, but she was always upbeat. Always. And last night, late, we got a call that this family member came home, and they found Hope laying on the ground with her tongue outside of her mouth all swollen up. Rushed her to the vet, and the vet said, "The cancer is taking her. There's nothing we can do." Well, other family members got there rallied around her. She passed away. But what Hope did for this family member that went through multiple life crises in that 2 years was unbelievable. But better than that, what our family member did for Hope was equally great. It's hard to find homes for older dogs. I swear to you, Hope knew that she was granted a gift of life and happiness with our family member. And this family member treated her like gold. But even at times of great pain, because everyone could see Hope was in pain, she always would come over and try to make you happy. And I'm telling you, what she did for me and that other dog was, I will never forget it. And when I saw her this Christmas, I gave her so much love. So I said prayers, and I sent this family member this. It says, dogs have a way of finding the people who need them and filling an emptiness we didn't ever know we had. And that was so true with Hope. As many of you have reminded me, and I heard this when I was a young kid, that dog, if you reverse it, is God. We are blessed to have animals in our life. We are blessed. So that's my story, and I don't mean to drag down the moment, but it affected me greatly the last 24 hours, so I figured I'd share it with you. And major kudos to this person in our family. Major kudos. She did so much for Hope. All right. So, the first story deals with a case we've known about for a long time. Almost since the day we started doing research, we heard about this case. And it was strange, very strange. But in the end of the day, something strange happened. It involves a young girl, 19 years old, named Maureen Kelly. She went missing June 9th, 2013. She was camping with friends at Canyon Creek Campground in Skamania County, Washington, near Mount St. Helens. And they were in camping space number 3. She had a half-sister named Sherry Kapow, who described Maureen as a laid-back, affectionate, carefree young woman who lived in Vancouver, Washington, right just north of Portland, Oregon. Now, on June 9th, at about 5 p.m., Maureen was camping with these friends. And at about 4:45, she asked some friends if she could borrow some camping gear. She didn't say why. Some people thought it was odd because they had all the gear they needed right there. And she said she wanted to borrow the gear because she was going to go on a spirit quest. Nobody asked what that meant. But then Maureen started to strip naked. She grabbed her fanny pack and she put a compass and a knife inside and she said she'd be back by midnight. No, she didn't have any shoes. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, it's an unbelievable feat to go anywhere in the wilderness up there with no shoes because the rocks are so sharp. It's a volcanic area. Well, she said she'd be back by midnight. So at 12:05 a.m. on June 10th, Maureen hadn't come back. Friends thought that she would anyhow, so they waited till very early in the morning later on, and then they contacted the Skamania County Sheriff and the U.S. Forest Service. So where were they? This is Longview, Washington. This is Vancouver, Washington, and here's Portland, Oregon. The border is the Columbia River. They were in this campground right here called Canyon Creek Campground. Mount St. Helens, here. Mount St. Helens headquarters is here. Now, these roads don't mean anything, but this is how they traveled between point to point in their search. I'll explain that later. Now, Longview, Kelso, Washington is right here as well. And that's the Bigfoot conference that I got death threats and I couldn't go to it. That's how crazy some people are in this world. But let me tell you that area around Mount St. Helens, we've talked about it before. And I've told you that UFO activity and Missing 411, the UFO connection, was filmed right near there. So yes, high strangeness, there's probably no higher place. It's very strange. And if you can ever get over to Mount St. Helens, it's worth the drive to go and look at it. So the sheriffs start to arrive, and they get the lowdown from the other campers about what's going on. Now, Maureen liked to go by the name of Ann, or Anu. And she was raised by a single mom in Vancouver. And she had a YouTube channel where she sang and played the ukulele. And she had last uploaded to that channel on June 7th. So, June 10th at 10 a.m., the deputies arrive at the campsite. They interview the campers. Deputies determine that there needs to be a search and rescue call-up. They interviewed the campers separately because the story was so strange, and they were worried that maybe drugs were involved, as would be normal. There was no drugs involved. In fact, the deputies stated later that they were positive no drugs were involved. So late in that first day, 2 searching canines arrived and started to track her scent up through the woods. She was going north. They didn't find anything. They came back late that night. The next day was a full search and rescue call-up, 50 searchers, more canines. And they did find some barefoot prints up near a creek in the direction she was hiking. This was a steep canyon with a creek in it. Many people didn't believe she could cross the creek because the rocks were so sharp and the other side of the bank was so steep, but that was the direction she went. Again, searchers couldn't believe it. June 12th, search and rescue continued. 50 searchers. Rain impeded their efforts to some degree. Canines still couldn't pick up the scent after they got to a specific area away from the campground, and she went off trail. Now that was an interesting maneuver. Barefoot off trail. I doubt if I could walk barefoot on trail. June 13th, the search and rescue was terminated by the sheriff until the end of the week, and they were going to regroup, he said. June 15th, search and rescue started this time near the Mount St. Helens Park Service headquarters, and they were going to search between the headquarters and the campground. Just for clarity's sake, here's the search and rescue organization point at Mount St. Helens headquarters, and this time they were going to search back towards the campground. This area, folks, very, very thick, wooded. This area right here has had a lot of people disappear. Skamania County has had a number of people disappear that I've covered. Well, June 16th, the following day, they have 75 searchers, and they're covering 4 square miles. They found nothing. They even stopped finding footprints. They terminated the search, and they said that they would hope that hunters and hikers may find her. On June 23rd, a psychic went public and said that the body was in a ravine near a mountain peak. I'm not sure you could be any more generalized. Well, we're 11 years later. Anu, or Maureen, was never found. Her brothers later said that Maureen was not ready for a mountain spirit quest like she endured. I can understand that. I can definitely understand that. Coupled with the rain, low temperatures at night. But I find it highly, highly unusual that they didn't find her body. Now, the family took it upon themselves to put up this poster throughout southern Washington, hoping that something would come of it. And they even listed the search and rescue phone number so the people could call if they found the backpack or something along those lines. They never did get a call. Nothing was ever found. And the peculiar nature of Maureen's disappearance, I've always thought about it. But we got weather, we got water, we got canines not being able to search, and weirdly, we got somebody with no clothes. It's unusual in my world. Now, we're going to go to Colorado. I've talked a lot about hunters who have disappeared. Does anybody remember which animal people hunt where there's the most disappearances? Raise your hand. In the back? You're right. Elk. Why elk? Do you remember in Missing 411 the UFO connection? Where, right near Mount St. Helens, we had a UFO come up and take an elk. Well, why an elk? I have no idea why it took an elk, other than there was CWD in the area per the owners of the property. Well, this next case involves 2 missing hunters. Very close in proximity. First hunter was named Howard Deal, 35 years old, excellent shape, from Houston, Texas, missing October 16th, 1965, 25 miles northwest of Durango, Colorado. Second hunter, Olen Hicks, 52, missing the next day, October 17th, in the same area, northwest of Durango. Men didn't know each other. They just happened to be hunting in the same general area, about 5 miles apart. Now that is strange. And in fact, it's so strange, I've never had that happen. I've had 2 people go missing, but usually they were found or one was found, but 2? Now, Deal was a longtime hunter, had hunted this area before. So on October 16th, he left a hunting camp that he had with 2 friends from Houston at 11:30 a.m. He was following elk tracks in a rough canyon near Roaring Forks Creek. He had 2 boxes of shotgun slugs, and he was last seen a half mile from camp where he split up from the other hunters. Now, 5 hours later, 4.5 hours later, a major snowstorm inundated the area where he was hunting. And in fact, the snow was so thick it brought the whole area to a standstill. This is Durango, Colorado. Remember the 4 trail runners that disappeared? They're out in this area right here. The 2 hunters right here, Deal and Hicks. Now Indian Ridge, Mount Lewis, Silver Mountain, Helmet Peak, Mayday, Hesperus. Kind of get a feeling for where you're at. When a snowstorm comes in and hits an area heavy and shuts down travel, you better be able to take care of yourself. Because chances are nobody's coming for a while. And I always say to anyone going to the mountains, you check the weather before you go. But mountains sometimes have unpredictable weather. But when you're out there in October, you better believe it that the weather can change on a dime. It can go from 80 degrees to 20 degrees in 10 hours. I've seen it happen many times in Colorado and Montana. People don't think about that. Now, the following day, October 17th at 2 p.m., Olen Hicks and his son are near Rough Canyon and Grindstone Ridge. His son sees Hicks walking down through a heavy spruce stand. That's the last he saw him. And then heavy snow had hit the day earlier, but it kept snowing and it snowed even harder that day. His son said he never came back to camp. He wasn't seen. The search for both these individuals couldn't start the day they disappeared. And in Deal's situation, he couldn't even get started for 2 days because of the snow. The other issue, Montezuma County Sheriff's. Small county, small resources. There's counties in Colorado that only have 6 deputies. So their budget is so small that a week's worth of overtime for 6 people would drain the budget to nothing. So you're hunting in a very rural area and you think that the resources are coming. Sometimes they're not. So Howard Deal was the father of 4 kids. And he was hunting with his 2 friends from Houston, got separated when they were leaving camp, and he was tracking. He was a super successful businessman. And when the word got back that Deal was missing, both of his business partners jumped a plane, flew out to Colorado to assist in the search and rescue. That's friendship. Now, the Montezuma County Sheriffs were the primary search and rescue agency on both these cases. And right away, I'm talking about a small sheriff's office, the sheriff realized he needed help. He had 2 different incidents very close to each other, hunters missing. And he asked for the governor to send National Guard, and he got it. Starting on the 18th, it was very cold, very wet, with very limited resources. Now let me give you an overview of Colorado in 1965, because you probably won't even believe it. In 1965, there were 30,000 people that got hunting licenses in the mountains of Colorado. And at the end of that year, they experienced less than optimum hunting success. There were 11,319 deer taken, 44% of what is normal. And there were 1,706 elk taken, down 23% of what was normal. Now that's a huge disparity in hunting success. Huge. And when you think there's 30,000 hunters and really only 33,000 or 20, and only 13 of the 30,000 were successful in getting an animal, tough hunting. But since I know most hunters won't even want to get out of their car and hike hardly at all, most aren't in shape. The further you get away from roads, the more successful your hunt. But that's just not the norm. Now, on October 19th, 1965, the National Guard arrived, and they stayed on site for 6 days. Montezuma County broke the area up into grid searches, and near the end of the search, family and friends arrived and they were helping. October 20th through the 25th, non-stop searching. All very organized. They found nothing. They found nothing. Both families made the trip to Colorado, searched, and they hoped that other hunters and hikers would find something during the regular season or after the snow melted. They felt for sure something would happen. Now, the distance between the two incidents, depending on who you believe, between 5 and 10 miles. 10 miles max. That's close. That's really close, friends. And I can't think of another time in our research where two hunters disappeared that close within 1 day of each other and were not found. The incidents had huge exposure at the time, and people were initially not perplexed that they weren't found. But as time went on, people were very confused. Because as of today, we're talking 60 years later, 59 years later, neither man's been found. Well, how can that be? Because that rifle is still going to be laying there in the dirt. His belt, his boots, their boots, still going to be there. Now, this area is very close to the case I told you about earlier this year, where the 4 trail runners disappeared in the same mountain area north of Durango. I was just recently with a really good friend who hunts this area, and we had detailed conversations about those 4 missing trail runners. He was shocked because he's been in this area a lot. It was somebody I've spent a lot of time with in Colorado. He said, "Dave, that's really troubling." I go, "Yeah, that's really troubling, right?" And it's troubling to me that none of these people are found. Yes. So we've got 2 hunters in Colorado disappeared in October 65. Howard Deal and Olen Hicks. Both of them were in good shape. They shouldn't have had a health event. And then we have Maureen Kelly from Skamania County, Washington. Now, one more thing about Skamania County. Yeah, there's not only UFOs, but they've also had some of the most unusual Bigfoot events ever noted anywhere in Skamania County. So, I spent a lot of time in there. Spooky area. I would never, ever, ever go walking through the woods out there alone at night, period. Let alone naked like Maureen did. If she wasn't under the influence at the time, I wish somebody in that party would have grabbed her and said, "No, you're not going there. You're not going alone. Too many dangers out there. Bears, mountain lions, cougars." I wish somebody would have stood up then. Friends, I greatly appreciate you being here. Please share this on your social media. And kindness costs you nothing. Costs you nothing. Be friendly. Be kind. If the other person wants to be mean, if the other person wants to be rude, it's on them. But you have a clear conscience. Smiles cost nothing. And as I promised you, your comments here on this site, on this YouTube, will be safe. And if anybody gets out of line, I'm kicking them out. I don't even give it a second thought anymore. Anybody rude, obnoxious, boom, they're gone. We need more kindness. We need a safe place to go, and you've found it here. Make sure you're subscribed. 10% of the people are unsubscribed every week. And our website to purchase books, NA, like North America Bigfoot Search.com, and go to Tubi, and you could watch all the movies for free that we made here in the United States. Missing 411, Missing 411 The Hunted, and Missing 411 The UFO Connection. 100% free. TUBI in Google or Yahoo, and you'll find it. Look under documentaries. Thank you. Be safe. Be kind. Paulides out.